when you're growing up and you're seeing Michael Jordan, it's almost like a god. So I didn't never believe I could be Mike. So I started to focus myself on other players and other people around my neighborhood because I never thought that you could get to a point where Mike was.
Yeah. We got London on the track. This is all God's doing, man, you can't plan it. But if the devil's in the details, then I'm satanic.
The moment we have all been waiting for has arrived. The 2017 NBA Finals. With the upcoming historic event comes incredible blessings. If you happen to be supporting Cleveland or Golden State, you have the honor of cheering your club on the league's biggest stage. And for the rest of us fans, it represents an opportunity to watch the highest level of basketball between the two best teams in the world. Squads that embarrassed every opponent they faced in the postseason. But if we look past the fans and focus on the players for a moment, it is fair to ask the question of what exactly it is they are playing for. Sure, we can look at the standard shoot-around interviews to find some answers. Things like, they want to win for their teammates, or wanting to win for the city and fans. In some ways, I can definitely believe them when they say this. I bet there is no doubt a great feeling to be had in providing so much enjoyment to a particular city and fan base that has been loyal to your team for so long. In fact, for some of the role guys and bench players, I could see this being their main motivation to succeed. Yet in the reality of our 24-hour sports cycle and society, where it seems the LeBron vs. Jordan debate will never end, the top players involved in this battle are also playing for a bigger purpose. No matter what any of these athletes say, an NBA title is the highest achievement you can receive, and as one of the star performers, it can immortalize your being in the basketball history books. So in this video, I'm going to look at the legacies of both the Cavs and Warriors' top two players and see exactly what are the stakes involved if their team happens to win or if their team happens to lose. Kyrie Irving, aka Uncle Drew, aka Mr. Fourth Quarter, is the first player to be looked at in this context, and I have to say, he is already sitting on some pretty big accomplishments for someone who hadn't reached the playoffs prior to LeBron's arrival. Along with an NBA title last year, his career averages at a solid 21.6 points per game and 5.6 assists per game on great percentages validate his claim as one of the best scoring point guards in the entire league. And of course, his uncanny ability to come up clutch in the biggest moments also define his brief and incomplete legacy so far. For the 2016 Finals, Kyrie put up 27.1 points per game, headlined by an unforgettable Game 5 performance and the game-winning shot in Game 7. But now let's play the what-if game. How could Irving's legacy change after this Finals? Again, remember, for every player, I'm going to explain scenarios in which their team hypothetically loses and wins. So starting first with the hypothetical that the Cavs lose the series, I have to say I don't think Kyrie's legacy is hurt too much from this. Unless he has a really poor performance where Curry outshines him in every single game, I don't anticipate there being much criticism on Irving if his team comes up short. As the Warriors remain heavy favorites, the pressure will be off the Cavs to repeat. Further, after what he accomplished last year, I think Kyrie is playing with house money, and a finals loss here would do little to erase the memories of his heroics in the 2016 Finals. In terms of where a loss puts him in the top point guard discussion for the start of next year, he will probably still remain in the fringe top 5 spot, and there will still be many legitimate arguments for both Irving and Wall as the best point guard in the Eastern Conference. Considering his age, it is hard to claim a loss here would destroy his legacy at age 25. Yet while I believe Kyrie truly has little to lose in this year's face-off, it is clear to me how much he has to gain if Cleveland hits on back-to-back titles. Number 1, as the Cavs will not stand a chance if Irving doesn't perform at a high level. You can almost guarantee a Cleveland victory means Kyrie had another incredible series for them to do so. So if we assume this is the case, that would make it 2 times in a row Irving was able to take down the prohibitive favorites by saving his best basketball for June. If this were to happen, Irving suddenly leapfrogs in front of an enormous deal of NBA point guards who were never able to win the big one. I don't want to get specific here, but a fantastic performance and a win will give him a distinct advantage over guys like Russell Westbrook and Chris Paul when it's all said and done. Not only this, but with 2 titles under his belt, the Kyrie LeBron vs Shaq Kobe comparison looks a lot more favorable, especially if we focus on the Kyrie and Kobe similarities for the first half of their careers. Although the Kyrie and Kobe comparison is often made for the mentality these players have in the clutch moments, the accolades actually wouldn't be too far off at this point in Irving's career. Just look at this from the hypothetical that the Cavs win again. Through Kyrie's first 6 seasons, he would have 2 titles under which he played the fourth quarter closer role as the clear-cut second option behind the league's best player. This would be only a 1 year slower pace than when Kobe got his second title, since he won his through the first 5 seasons of his career. Amazingly, the comparison fades a bit when you see Kobe did this at only age 22, where Kyrie, who is still crazy young, would accomplish a second ring by age 25. Nonetheless, before Kobe fans go insane for making the link, Irving definitely plays a similar role for the Cavs that Bryant did on those Laker teams. While I will concede Kyrie is nowhere near Kobe's impact on the defensive end, another ring here would enhance his legacy to the point in which you wonder where he starts to fit in among the league's best playoff performers of all time. Now, in my opinion, the legacy of Steph is a lot more interesting of a discussion than Irving, just because it is a bit more complex. As we know, Curry is considered by many to be the greatest shooter in the world, and has certainly changed the way the game is played with his volume three-point shooting. At the same time, Steph has not been great when it matters most for the last 2 consecutive finals. I think you can actually make the case he choked in Game 7 of the 2016 NBA Finals and was outplayed by Matthew Dellavedova for most of the series in 2015. As a result, this year's series is an opportunity for Curry to prove his last slip-ups were an aberration and that he's able to play at his peak level when the stage is at its brightest. Having said this, I personally believe we should actually anticipate 3 scenarios that can impact Steph's legacy after the finals. Number 1, of course, is that the Warriors lose the series and Kyrie outplays Steph again. Number 2 is that the Warriors win their series and Steph either equals Kyrie's overall performance or outduels him in their matchup. And then number 3 is a bit different. This is the scenario in which the Warriors win, but Curry only plays a marginal role in the series. Essentially, imagine this being similar to the 2015 NBA Finals, where Steph was inexplicably overshadowed by Andre Iguodala for Finals MVP. To be fair, now that Durant is on the team, winning MVP honors is not going to be easy, even if he does have a great series, so it wouldn't make sense to judge him off that standard alone. But anyways, let's start with the hypothetical that the Dubs end up losing again, and Curry struggles to match Kyrie. Out of the 3 possibilities, this is clearly the worst result for his legacy. If this were to happen for a second time, not only will there be a strong argument that Irving is indeed just an overall better player than Curry, but Steph would pretty much kiss any case for top 20 player of all time goodbye. Although ESPN already ranked Curry the 23rd best player in NBA history a year ago, I think it is absolutely absurd for him to be placed above incredibly accomplished guys like Dwayne Wade and Scottie Pippen at this current moment. Also, a loss here will continue to fuel the narrative of Steph's failure to come up big in the NBA Finals, and you can bet there will be all sorts of things like memes mocking him, as well as NBA Twitter out for blood. Obviously not a sexy picture for his legacy. Moving on, I'm going to talk about hypothetical number 2 and 3 together because they both include the Warriors winning this year's finals. The important distinction, however, lies in how Steph actually plays. Like I touched on earlier, unlike the Cavs where it's hard to imagine them winning without brilliant performances from both Kyrie and LeBron, I think it's fair to say that the Warriors are able to take home the series even if Curry doesn't have his A-game. As the best team in the league throughout almost all of the regular season, Golden State has found ways to win over and over again without elite outings from their star players every night. With that being said, a win and a dazzling Curry performance could do wonders for his declining popularity. And if he somehow steals the spotlight from Durant and garners Finals MVP, the critics will have to scrap the Steph isn't clutch argument and realize he's going to easily end up an all-time great player. In terms of point guards, you could start to begin the debate for him over Isaiah Thomas all-time and put him number 2 only behind Magic Johnson, which is actually insane because he's not even 30 years old yet. On the other hand, if they do end up winning, but Curry is outplayed by Kyrie, Steph would still have 2 rings, but I believe knowledgeable NBA fans will be quick to point out his usual shortcomings against LeBron and the Cavs, dimming the light a bit on his legacy. Having said this, 2 rings is 2 rings, and winning any way possible would still help his case in the achievements narrative. I'm interested to hear what you guys think on this one. Do you think if the Warriors win but Curry doesn't play great, should this be a knock on his legacy? Let me hear what you guys think in the comments. Kevin Durant might be the most complicated player out of these guys to predict his legacy following the finals. For those who don't know, Durant left the Oklahoma City Thunder last year after only being 1 quarter away from defeating the Golden State Warriors, which is the current team he plays for. Pretty much, I'd say 95% of NBA fans' reaction to his decision went something like this.
Are you f***ing kidding me?
And let's be real, it wasn't just because the Warriors were going to have an insane lineup after just winning 73 games the year prior. It was also because Durant chose a team that he could have beat in OKC. I mean, in terms of being a competitor and wanting to beat the best, it's just an unthinkable perspective, and I personally still can't believe his decision to this day when I think about it. So of course, the way it went down, a lot of people have already said Durant has ruined his legacy regardless of how many rings he gets with Golden State because it was too much of a cheap move and the Warriors could win without him. Although I'd like to agree with this assessment on the surface, I think there are some valid opposing viewpoints to discuss, so let's go through it real quick. First, in the scenario that the Warriors lose, Kevin Durant might just get the biggest L in NBA Finals history. Just think about it for a second. As a consensus top 5 player in the world, KD would lose having joined a team that won 73 games the year before, had 4 All-Stars in your lineup, and won a title before he even showed up. In my opinion, it would be such an embarrassing moment for Durant that it would stick with his legacy forever. Even if he were to have a fantastic series, a loss with the supporting cast he has would be one for the record books. Considering the all-time great players, and I'm talking top 10 in this context because I think KD is truly on that level from a talent perspective, could you see one of those guys ever losing with this well-oiled machine of a team? Anyways, with that picture out of the way, let's get to the more interesting scenario for KD's legacy, and that is if the Warriors were to win. As I mentioned earlier, Kevin Durant's free agency decision undoubtedly impacts the validity of a ring in some people's eyes, but will this truly have an impact on his place among NBA legends? Personally, I have to give the classic yes and no answer here. In regards to yes, a Durant championship with the Warriors this year will always come with a slight asterisk because there really is a case to be made that Golden State could have won it all without him this year. To end the regular season, the Warriors won 15 of their last 16 games and really didn't skip a beat when they missed him in Game 2 and Game 3 of the first round of the NBA playoffs. If they do end up winning, those facts will always be there to tackle his true importance to their championship run. Nonetheless, the reason why I also say no is because at the end of the day, this greatness thing we care about so much revolves heavily around winning championships. For KD, winning a ring means he's no longer on the list of several Hall of Famers to never get the big one. No matter how we as NBA fans feel on how he got it, the history books will always say Kevin Durant was a champion, and that is all that will matter years from now when looking back at his legacy. So with that being said, I can confidently say Durant has the most to gain and the most to lose in this NBA Finals. Last but definitely not least, it is time to discuss the great LeBron James and what this series means for his legacy. Although I believe the discussion of this finals is a narrative better fit from Durant's angle, LeBron will always find himself atop the table when discussing how he will be remembered after yet another NBA Finals appearance. In truth, beyond adding more gold to his insane basketball resume, there isn't much more for him to prove to be considered a top 5 player of all time. In listing a few relevant achievements, he's been to consecutive 7 straight finals, recently passed Michael Jordan for all-time postseason points, and sits on 3 championships before the conclusion of this title matchup. Pretty much what I'm saying is, if he retired tomorrow, he decisively has his spot on the Mount Rushmore of NBA's all-time players already. Yet with that being said, that isn't to say he has nothing to lose in this year's finals. If the Cavs do end up losing, LeBron would sit at an unappetizing 3-5 record in the NBA Finals, and it would be the second time in 3 years he lost to the Golden State Warriors. In this context, it means both the Spurs and the Warriors would have won the overall head-to-head rivalries against LeBron-led teams. Even though you can't deny his greatness, if there were 2 franchises to hold the upper hand in the NBA Finals matchups throughout your career, it is certainly not the best look for your legacy. Also, if it wasn't already obvious, another misstep in the NBA Finals for James means another year wasted in the quest for chasing Jordan. Although LeBron likes to talk about wanting to win awards like MVP and Defensive Player of the Year, the only thing on his mind is getting another championship. And with that nice segue, let's move to if LeBron ends up winning for back-to-back years. First, you would have to imagine a 4th title would also come with a 4th Finals MVP, unless Kyrie goes completely bananas or something we just don't know. This would make him the 2nd player in NBA history to win 4 Most Valuable Player honors, only behind Michael Jordan. And look at this list. This isn't some random inconsequential feat here. On the contrary, it would be a feat that overtakes every legend to ever play the game, sans Jordan. To Charles Barkley's point that a title for LeBron puts him on Kobe's level, as a Mamba diehard myself, Even I have to scoff at how ridiculous that opinion sounds when LeBron is clearly the better all-around basketball player. If you just want to compare career accomplishments, I could definitely see the case for Kobe, but if we combine these accomplishments with their ability to make teammates better, LeBron is the clear-cut winner. Finally, and probably what will be discussed 2,500,432 times on ESPN's First Take, is what the title means for the LeBron vs. Jordan discussion. In my own personal opinion, the only way LeBron can overtake Jordan in the court of public opinion is if he were to win 6 or more titles. 6 or more, and I think he has Jordan beat personally. So while gaining a 4th title doesn't add much to debate on the topic right now from my perspective, at the same time, it continues the narrative that LeBron still has a chance to match Jordan, which, by the way, folks, is what any person with a stake in the NBA business wants. The amount of money the league has made off LeBron's triumphs and failures in the finals, thanks to both LeBron and Jordan fans, is insane. I really wonder what exactly the state of the NBA would look like without this LeBron-Jordan narrative to push down our throats, and how a LeBronless league would change the dynamic of the sport. As we see in golf, with Tiger Woods no longer bringing viewers to the TV screen to see if he could surpass Jack Nicklaus's 18 majors record, the ability to give fans a reason to watch will not always be an easy one. With both LeBron and the Warriors playing at an all-time high, let's be thankful that time still hasn't come for the NBA. Here's hoping to a historic, memorable, and never to be forgotten NBA Finals. I know I'm excited.